Thanks to Fiverr for sponsoring today's video. This crispy snack, along with this salad and these wraps, which is pretty much a full meal to me, all came to just around 15 bucks. And it was all based on using everything from one can of chickpeas. So let me show you how. First, let's start out with this Caesar salad. It was really good. Every one of these recipes is going to be using the chickpeas themselves and the liquid from chickpeas, which is aquafaba. Aquafaba is the liquid that any beans are cooked in, and it has the unique ability to mimic the egg whites. I mean, you can actually whip it into like a meringue. So for this Caesar salad, we actually used the aquafaba to make the Caesar dressing, and it came out really good. Now, right off the bat, I used too much mustard when I was doing this recipe, so when I give you the final measurements in the end, which this one will have, I'll have everything accurate. Now, I did mess up with a few ingredients here, like using bottled lemon juice instead of just fresh lemon. That would have made a big difference. And then when I went to emulsify the oil, I used olive oil, which for this Caesar dressing was not the right choice. I wish I would have went with like a lighter flavored oil. So that's what's going to be in the final instructions. So I'm just going to move this over to a mason jar, pop it in the fridge for, I don't know, maybe an hour, however long it takes for this to cool down. Doesn't need to be that long. Now for the chickpeas, I'm just going to rinse them under cold water, kind of jostle them around a little bit. This doesn't necessarily need to happen, but I am going to be removing the skins. Just by massaging them or shaking them around, the skins will loosen up, and when you put them in cold water, the skins will float to the top. You're going to end up with a better quality chickpea, and if you're making hummus, it's going to be quite a bit smoother. So now we just need to pat the chickpeas dry, toss them into a bowl, and we're going to season them up. I'm just going to be using a little bit of olive oil, along with some smoked paprika, garlic powder, and a pinch of salt. I'm just going to mix that up, make sure everything's nice and coated, and then just toss it onto a baking dish with a little bit of parchment paper on it. And I'm also going to toss on 2 cloves of garlic. Now, I peeled these. You don't have to. It was just a brain fart. The garlic is going to be for the dressing when it's all done. Now, I know you might have noticed my baking dish was a little small, and that's just because I'm going to be using my toaster oven. We have it set for 340 degrees with the fan setting for about 35 minutes or so. We're going to toss them a little over halfway through. So when these are all said and done, they come out a little crispy. You want them to be kind of like a crouton. That's the idea behind these. Now, before I poured these all into the bowl, I actually tossed that roasted garlic right into the dressing, along with a little bit of lemon zest. Now, I know I could have probably used real lemons in this instead of the bottle lemon, but I mean, we're past that point now. And then I'm also going to be adding a generous amount of black pepper, a pinch of salt, and then we're just going to mix this together the rest of the way. I'm going to throw it into a small mason jar, toss it into the fridge, and then we'll put our salad together when it's time for dinner. Now let's move on to the next recipe. So for the next one, we are going to be making like an appetizer, which is just crispy chickpeas. And I know we kind of just made that, but I want to show you a different technique, a different way to use the aquafaba that you might not even have thought of. So for this recipe, we're going to start the same way. 1 can of chickpeas, washed, dried, thrown onto a baking sheet with parchment paper, and then the oven preheated for 400 degrees. I tossed them right into the toaster oven, and I baked them for about 25 minutes. Now, while I was doing that, we took a little bit of the aquafaba, and we're going to be using this kind of like an egg. It's going to be the road that all flavors travel on. So we're going to add lime juice, a little bit of chili flakes, paprika, cumin, garlic, and salt to the aquafaba. This seems like a lot. You can see it's thick and clumpy. We're going to whisk that up, and that's going to be our seasoning paste. Now, I want to cut this paste in half. We're going to save that other stuff for something else. You don't have to use it in this dish, but you could use it on a lot. It's going to taste really good. It's kind of spicy, has a kick. After 25 minutes, pull the chickpeas out of the toaster oven and then coat them with this seasoning. Mix them up really well. They're going to be coated really nicely. Everything's going to stick to this perfectly. Now, toss them back into the toaster oven and let them roast for at least 15 more minutes or until they're completely crispy. Now, you just want to set them aside until they're completely cool. These come out better than like your snack bag chips. I mean, I don't know what else to say because they're pretty awesome. So before we move on, I feel like I need to fill you all in on something. These are not my recipe creations, not exactly. So I've been making a lot of these 1 can of chickpea videos and just a lot of videos in general, and I needed some creative help. So I reached out to Fiverr, today's sponsor. Fiverr has always been the place I go when I need to connect with digital freelancers for just about anything, like video editing, website creation, music production, and even recipe development. I've used Fiverr for plenty of different things in the past, but this is my first go with the recipe creation, and I'm pretty excited about it. I reached out to 3 Fiverr freelance recipe developers, and I asked them the same thing. I need a new recipe based on 1 can of chickpeas, and I told them to be creative. So then I hired them, and we just went ahead with it. And within a few days, one of them overnight, I had all of my recipes. I loved how incredibly easy it was to find these recipe developers. I honestly don't know how it could have been any easier. It was actually so quick that I hired a 4th Fiverr freelancer to turn these recipes into a digitable, downloadable recipe book. I'll tell you how to get that at the end of the video. So gang, get moving on whatever project you're doing. Head over to fvrr.co/Saucestache and get 10% off when you use code Saucestache. That's 10% off using code Saucestache, all in caps, just like this, at fvrr.co/Saucestache. Let's get back to the recipes. So for this last recipe, I'm really excited for. It's going to start exactly how you think, with 2 green peppers. I know, I tricked you there. So all we need to do is just slice these green peppers, and I'm just going to slice them without the seeds, and then just slice them into strips. We're going to toss them in a baking sheet, drizzle them with a little bit of oil. We're going to add some dry dill, a little bit of salt, some pepper, toss them together. Now, I wish I would have just tossed these in a bowl. Don't ask me about this. And then we're just going to throw them in the toaster oven for about 20 minutes or so. Now we just need 1 can of chickpeas. We're going to drain the liquid directly into our tall container, so that way we can make our chickpea mayo. So we're going to use an immersion blender like we've been doing. We're going to whip the aquafaba for about 3 or 4 minutes, allowing it to increase in volume. Then we're just going to add some mustard, salt, garlic powder, smoked paprika, chipotle powder, a little bit of lime juice, and nutritional yeast. Now once everything's mixed, now we need to emulsify in our oil. I'm just going to be using a refined coconut oil. Now I also put down this little towel because as this thickens up, that cup is going to start twisting and turning, and it's a heck of a lot easier if you do it on a towel. Now I added a little xanthan gum to help this thicken, but once it's all combined, we're just going to toss this in the fridge to help it thicken even more. Now back to the chickpeas. For this recipe, we're going to be using the chickpeas right out of the can, so pretty much just cooked once chickpeas. Now I'm also going to be using a tablespoon of capers that I'm just going to chop up, along with a shallot, finely chopped, some green onions, and a little bit of parsley. We're going to mix that in. This is going to be kind of like our salad. Now we want to pull the mayo out. It's had time to thicken. Toss that in, mix it up, and we're just tossing in enough to create the salad. Now we can put everything together. For our initial salad that we made, I'm just going to chop up some romaine lettuce, toss it in a bowl, toss on our chickpea croutons, cover it with the dressing. I mean, look at that salad. This looks awesome. Now to put together our wraps, we just need a wrap or a tortilla, which is what I'm using here, some of our chickpea salad, a little bit of the lettuce left over from the regular salad, and then topped with our roasted peppers. Now, I would recommend roasting just red peppers, but my grocery store didn't have any, and that's why we ended up with the green bell peppers. But here it is. This is it. This is the recipes, all from Fiverr. I'm really excited about this one, so let's see what Monica has to say, because this is our dinner tonight. Roasted chickpeas with aquafaba. Let's give them a try. They don't look like the picture. I don't know if that's my fault or not, but...
I like it.
Yeah. It's super good.
So, yeah, it's really crunchy. It almost have like a bacony taste. Like, what is it that I'm tasting?
It's the smoked paprika.
Oh, smoked paprika.
Yeah.
It's got a kick to it.
Yeah, it does. I love the aquafaba coating thing. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do that.
This is good.
So, this is a good run. I love this.
Oh, this is delicious. I love this too. I want this all the time for a snack.
Yeah, great snack. Okay.
So, is this Caesar dressing made out of the aquafaba?
Yeah, this is everything here is the stuff all based on aquafaba, even the lettuce.
Okay. Oh.
No, I'm kidding. The lettuce is just regular lettuce.
That's what I thought. But I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was like shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's excellent.
This tastes just like Caesar salad.
There's like some like lemoniness to it.
It's creamy, lemoniness. It almost tastes like, how are the chickpeas done? These are cool.
They're like roasted chickpeas.
These are awesome.
Yeah. So I didn't roast these chickpeas as much as I roasted those chickpeas.
No, but these are perfect for this type of salad. It needs to be softer.
But in the recipe, she did say that she wanted them to be like croutons.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
So they're kind of crouton-y.
No, they are. They're kind of like, when they're softer, they're kind of like, you know, how when you have the croutons and dressing for like a second and they soften up. Yeah, that is true. You know, they're kind of like that consistency. This one is also a win. Yeah, I love it. Really excited about that. Very good. Yeah. So good. Okay. Now, are you ready for the zero waste chickpea wrap? I need to take a bigger bite. Yeah, get everything, because I think this is delicious. Okay. I love this. I like the dill flavor. I love how creamy it is. Yeah. I just love the flavor of like everything in it. There's like the chopped up onions and the dill, and then some of, is there like tomato in here? No, there's like, that's a roasted pepper. Oh, delicious. Yeah, I love the flavor. And then the creaminess is like really light and subtle. It is, it's really light. Yeah, with the roasted peppers and everything. I mean, this is excellent. Well, that's all I gotta say. Enjoying it. Yeah. Great recipes.
Yeah, these are great.
So make sure you download your copy of 1 Can of Chickpeas. The link will be directly below the Fiverr link. Head over to fvrr.co/Saucestache to check out the services available to you and get 10% off with code Saucestache.